Hey, somebody's got to pop the corn. You did? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to the Professional Noticer.
Is this a coincidence or what?
Here, you and I will use common sense and all the wisdom we can muster to move beyond what is true and go all the way to the truth, creating measurable results for people like you and families like yours, no longer a member of the amateur ranks. I am the Professional Noticer.
Shazam!
Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. Hey, thank you for making me a part of your week. While our topics here might seem to vary wildly at times, it's because the things you care about most are often greatly affected by the things you care about least. Therefore, we will field questions about business, spiritual issues, and popular culture, and occasionally tackle conundrums like, who decided that pennies should be bigger than dimes? My purpose here today, and with every show we do, is to play the part of a best friend or a coach. I want to help you live the life you would live if all your toughest questions were answered. The Professional Noticer is sponsored this week by IAITAM.org. That's pronounced ITAM.org. They're the only global member-based training organization dedicated to meeting the needs of IT asset management professionals. Now, I'm just telling you, this is an unbelievable organization. Dr. Barbara Mbiasa is someone you should know. I just think she hung the moon. And I often see her quoted in the news or appearing on news programs. And you got to understand, Dr. Barbara actually created this industry. Again, ITAM is the only global training organization turning out IT asset managers that corporations immediately hire all over the world. So check them out. You can go to school on this with an online program, get a degree that is actually in huge demand. You want to know what companies depend on ITAM to train their asset managers? It's like virtually everybody. Go to IAITAM.org and look through their client list. I'm telling you, it's everybody from Sony Pictures to NASA to the United Nations. I mean, to me, it's hilarious to look at that client list. Google is one of their clients. Google, Yahoo, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple. And when these people have IT issues, they hire the people that ITAM has trained. That's IAITAM.org. Observations and answers. That's what we do here. I deliver the observations and you provide the questions. Remember, the quality of our answers can only be determined by the quality of our questions. So always ask great questions. And this week, our first question is from John. He's from England. Let's listen.
Hello, this is John Gibbons. I'm dialing from Staffordshire, England. Andy, I appreciate your work so much. My question is regarding the sixth decision, the compassionate decision. I have an issue with forgiving myself of certain decisions I've made in the past. I wondered if you had personal examples of how maybe you have coped with this. What is your thinking here, please? I am in a good place now, and the 7 decisions have helped me on a daily basis. Many thanks, Andy. Bye.
Okay, John, thank you so much for taking the time to call with that question. You know, it is amazing. It just hit me that you said you called it what we've called it in the past, the compassionate decision. And it just hit me as you were talking that isn't it amazing how we can be compassionate with other people and we can be so hard on ourselves. I guess I understand that, how and why we do that, because of all the people who have offended me and disappointed me in my life, nobody has disappointed me as much as I have disappointed me. and I knew everything I'd done. I couldn't even lie about it. I understand your issue with forgiving yourself of certain decisions you've made in your past, John. I do the same thing. You ask if I had personal examples. Most of my examples, there's nothing really lurid. There's nothing that I could tell a story and have everybody going, "Oh my gosh!" But I have in the past been pretty hard on myself, and it's been more a thing of not forgiving myself for things I did not do instead of things I had done. We talk about the butterfly effect, and we talk about how everything you do matters. Well, I am also aware that everything you don't do matters as much. Because either way, you're turning the world in one direction or another. And so in my life, not making a decision, I came to the conclusion at some point that not making a decision is a decision. Not doing something, that is in effect a decision. And I talk to Polly or the boys sometimes, and we'll see a situation or be discussing a situation. Somebody will have an issue or some problem, and I will say, "Wow, I know how they feel. I know how that feels." And Polly or the boys, somebody will look at me and go, "What? You got to be kidding me! You can possibly know how they feel." I was talking to somebody not too long ago about going on stage, and they were nervous about a presentation we were going to make, and I said, "Yeah, I know exactly how that feels." And somebody in my family said, "How could you know how that feels? I mean, you go on stage all the time. You are so comfortable. You don't even think about it anymore." And I said, "Yeah, I think anymore is the key there, because you got to understand that kind of what you're seeing now. I didn't used to be this way. I know what it's like to have a speech I'm doing on Saturday, and then on Wednesday sit down to dinner and just have that cross my mind and can't eat anything, just totally scared to death." And so when it came to moving the beginnings of my career along, or sometimes even now, John, it's the things that I did not do or the things that I don't do that I find that compound in my life sometimes. And by that, I mean that I feel bad about not doing what I should have done. And because I feel so bad about it, I don't do it today either, because I feel bad, and I sure wouldn't do it feeling bad. And then tomorrow comes and I feel even worse. I've just wasted 2 days. And, because you feel worse, or because I felt so much worse, I certainly wouldn't do it feeling worse. I need to wait until I feel better. But I don't ever feel better, because it's just a downhill slide, and I'm just on my back. Have you ever had a coach, like a high school coach, that's just like, man, he's just on you. I mean, you just can't do anything right, and he just, come on, and he's just screaming at you. You ever had one of those kind of people in your life, and a coach? Most of us have had that when we were kids. Some coach yelling at us or whatever. Well, I have done that to myself in my life. Just like I can't get off my own back. And I still have times of that I struggle with that, but I recognize it now, and I can move that process along a lot faster. But the process has moved along by forgiving myself. That this compassionate decision, this idea of being compassionate with ourselves, certainly as compassionate with ourselves as we are with other people, because we're the nucleus. That we are the ones. I mean, we can forgive other people, and yet if the nucleus is not working, you're only going to forgive those like right around you, and you're only going to affect those right around you. The nucleus has to be strong. I mean, you've got to be in a great place. You've got to forgive yourself so that you can move ahead. I have people, they'll sometimes say to me, people in sales especially, this is true, that they'll say to me, well, I'm having a hard time just like with people, with, getting clients or it's just some version of that. And if I dig in, I'll find a lot of times they have an issue with forgiveness. And if I really dig in, I'll find that issue of forgiveness is many times with themselves. And it's a scary place to be when you've not only gotten bitter with an unforgiving spirit, but when that bitterness and that unforgiving spirit are directed back at yourself internally, it's hard to know where to go. And so just, I've said this before, but just like a dog can sense fear in people sense bitterness in other people. And they don't always know what they're sensing, but they don't do business with it. They don't stay married to it forever. They don't date it again. And the cure for that is just as plain as it is forgiving other people. You can lay down the stick and whip you've been beating yourself over the back and neck and shoulders with. You can lay it down and forgive yourself and start over and move on. You can. John, I'm glad that you are in a good place now. And man, I'm thrilled that the 7 decisions help you on a daily basis. I really appreciate you calling. And you love to hear your voice. I just love that accent. And yeah, you're probably saying, I don't have an accent. You're the one with the accent. And that's probably true. That's probably true. Thank you, John. I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. By the way, thank you for your questions. We need your questions, and we want to show our appreciation for your questions. If your question is chosen to go on the air, on the podcast, we're going to send either a guided traveler experience or the 100-year parenting series. And you have your choice. We appreciate all the questions that you send in. You could email us at theprofessionalnoticer@andyandrews.com or call 1-800-726-ANDY. 1-800-726-ANDY. Amazing how that number worked out. Our next question is from Mary. She's from Colorado. Let's listen.
Hi, Andy. This is Mary from Colorado. I've read all of your books, given many away to friends and family, and listened to your podcast every week. I have had a dear friend for nearly 40 years. We've gone through child rearing, divorces, job changes, family dramas, and have been like sisters for so many years. We have a very strong faith in God and have always been able to encourage, challenge, and uphold each other in prayer. We are both in our mid-60s and retired. The last 5 years have taken a toll on my dear friend. She is the primary physical and emotional support for her aging parents. Her mother is particularly negative and uncooperative, yet sweet as pie when anyone else is around. They still live in their home but are not able to take care of daily tasks. So my friend goes over every Monday to clean, do laundry, lawn and garden work, and whatever else needs to be attended to. She's also on call whenever a crisis arises, even though her 62-year-old brother lives with his parents. I've learned the hard way not to say anything negative about how I would handle things. Those conversations do not end well. My question is, how do I help my friend? I have tried allowing her to vent and cry and do not judge her for her feelings of hurt and frustration. I've tried using tough love. I honestly think she needs either a long vacation, which is probably not an option, or professional help. Do I encourage her to seek professional help, or can you suggest a tactic that you think might be an encouragement to her without telling her what to do? We try to get together at least once a week to do something we both enjoy. When I'm gone for any length of time, she seems very sad and alone, yet she does have other friends to lean on besides me. I think she is somewhat jealous of my life because I don't have all of the pressure and drama. I just want to know how to encourage her somehow. Any suggestions would be greatly appreciated. Thanks and blessings, Mary.
Mary, thank you so much for the question. You sound like a very nice person. You know, I listen to what you say. I listen to your concerns about your friend, and you just seem like a very nice person. And I got to say that a lot of times people that are as nice as you get in situations like this because they love somebody so much. And, there's several things that I noticed in your question. One is that you guys, you've been friends for 40 years, okay? You've been like sisters. Now, there's nobody that has known anybody for 40 years that doesn't understand that people change over time. They just do. And hopefully, our longtime friends, we change in a way that we can stay kind of yoked and moving down the pathway the same way. I'm concerned when you say that you think she's jealous of your life. I think that's probably true. I wonder how she could not be, because her life does sound kind of crazy and yours sounds at least peaceful. I almost laughed out loud when you talked about the mom being particularly negative, and yet she's like sweet as pie when anyone else was around. I mean, man, isn't that just like the typical thing? It's like, oh my gosh, it's like if you just knew how mean she was, but you come over and say, hey, honey, hey, sweetheart, and it's hilarious. Then you leave, good, get me my coffee. I just always laughed out loud. It's just like such a stereotype. I mean, you always see that kind of person in a movie, but God, being around them is just draining. I mean, it's just hard. And if you're the only one doing it, I mean, but see, here's something I want you to notice, Mary, and that is that she is choosing this. Okay, now some people would probably tap their brakes at that, or sat back in their chair, or if you're listening to it, somebody would probably like cut their eyes at somebody. What do you mean choosing it? She didn't choose it. Her mother and father are in a bad place. She's supposed to take it. Well, now hang on. Her 62-year-old brother lives with the parents. And yet she's the one that's on call. She's the one. I mean, he actually lives there. And yet she's the one that has to go. And so my point is, she doesn't always have to go. Not always. Her 62-year-old brother lives there. That should be a shared responsibility. And that should be something that she works out with him. But for whatever reason, he didn't want to do it, or he's not capable, or mama doesn't want him. Whatever it is, she is choosing to be the one on call when a crisis arises. And you say that you've learned the hard way not to say anything about how to handle it differently, because those conversations don't end well. You know why they don't end well, Mary? Do you know why? Because she doesn't want to know how to do it differently. This is, in a way, this has become her identity. To her, this is who she is. She is the put-upon person that has to take care of mama and daddy because, Buddy, 62-year-old Buddy, he can't do it. And, I'm the one that has to. This is the persona she has adopted. This is her life. And so when you say anything about how you would handle it or how you could handle it differently, those conversations don't end well because she don't want to know how you would handle it, and she don't want to know how to do anything differently. You say she probably needs a long vacation or professional help. I agree. I'm not sure about the long vacation. But I also know, you asked me, you said, if you ask if you should encourage her to seek professional help. You ever try to do that? Have you ever said to somebody, you should really get professional help? I mean, you think the other conversations didn't end well? That's not going to end well. As long as I've known you for 40 years. And may I say something? I think you need professional help. I mean, she's just not going to take that well. Now I'm kind of. I don't mean to make fun of this. I don't mean to make light of this because this is tough. But I want to tell you this. I will tell you this. She's not the one I feel sorry for. You're the one I feel sorry for. I don't mean feel sorry. You are the one who has my sympathy because you are a friend and you're trying to be a great friend. And, you are giving of yourself. You are thinking about this person when you're away from them. You're giving everything to the relationship when you are there with her. You're a great friend. You are being a great friend. And she's caught up in herself. More evidence to me that she is caught up in herself, and this is her persona, this is her life to herself, is that you mention that anytime you're gone for any length of time, she seems very sad. She seems alone. Well, she's coming across that way. She's coming across to you as sad and alone, and yet she does have other friends to lean on besides you. I wonder how she deals with those people. I wonder, do they think the same thing? That would be something I'd be curious about. Do you know, obviously 40 years you've been friends, some of the people she knows. So does everybody think this? Or are there people going, really? No, she seems fine when she's with us. I mean, is she just doing this to you? I'm curious about that. Only and so you might dismiss that out of hand. But I know you want to encourage her. And so one of the things that I want to encourage you to maybe deal with is the fact that she might be refusing to be encouraged. I mean, there are people that they absolutely do not want to be encouraged because, my God, if they were encouraged, then they would have to act differently. And, how can they act differently? Because this is who they are. I mean, you're wanting to encourage me. You're wanting me to be happier. You're wanting me to have hope for my future. My God, I can't do that. Don't you understand? I've spent 65 years being this way. Don't try to encourage me. I mean, there are some people, and whether it's like out in the open or where's like deep within them, and they don't even know why, but they just kind of refuse it. And so people like you, Mary, a good-hearted person that really wants to help, the one thing that you need to be aware of is don't start thinking it's you. Because that's the next thing I see is people go, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm a bad, friend. Maybe I'm a bad a person in this situation. I'm not doing this any good. No, it's not you. Okay. And I suggest the only tack that you can take that will not leave you exhausted is the tack of questions. Use questions. Get her to just answer questions. I would not ever again tell this woman what to do. I would never again tell her what you suggest. I mean, unless there's some kind of change in her behavior. I would just, I would ask questions like, when she says, I'm so frustrated, I just don't know what to do with Mama. I don't know what to do with her. What options have you thought about? And she might say, well, what do you mean? Just that. You don't know what to do? Okay, well, that's kind of silly, but if you did know what to do, what would you do? If you had to do something, what would you do? What's on your list of things to do if you had to do something? You don't have to, but pretend you had to. What would you do if you had to? What are your options there with Mama? And then, she might say, I don't know what she'll say, but if she said, well, a nursing home or, so, okay, so have you thought that through? How would you do that? I mean, I would just sit and ask questions. I would not move into the realm of, well, you know what? Here's something I think you might consider. Or here's something I just wouldn't even do it. I would just ask questions. It'll allow you to spend time with her. It will allow her to feel like she was heard. And she might get some answers because she would have to think rather than pushing back against all the suggestions that she has heard. Because obviously your suggestions have been good, but she's not wanting to hear them. So I think you should wait now and just let's hear what she has to say. Okay? Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. And I think that'll do it for this week. Good grief. That seemed fast. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing what mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, smile while you talk, shake hands with the kids you meet, and work on the answer to this question. If a turtle loses his shell, is he homeless or naked? And so until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Lindert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Geritol for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by BadArtificialTurf.com. Do you wish you could stop cutting the grass in your yard? Tired of pushing that old mower? Sick of paying that skinny 14-year-old kid who leaves grass around the trees but still manages to whack out a piece of your flower bed every now and then? Well, email the good people at badartificialturf.com because they have just what you need. And what you don't need is a perfect-looking yard. Think about it. If you roll out a carpet that looks like Augusta National, you'll have every garden club in town tramping around your house and calling you a fraud. BadArtificialTurf.com is especially created for you with a few brown patches and with weeds. And it's not perfectly level either. In other words, your lawn will look like it always has, but you'll never have to mow it again. That's BadArtificialTurf.com.